Good evening, brothers and sisters. This is the second Satanic sermon, and this is Father Mullen, or, as I've started to call this show now, Father Mullen's Goddamned Radio Show. Rather clever little play on words there if you think about it for a second, but let's move on to today's lecture, shall we? And we are here to discuss a life without God. And what does that mean? How does that work? Where does this concept come from? Where did LaVey fish this from? Alright, well, in the very original editions of the Satanic Bible, LaVey has in the front matter, pretty much, he cites many other writers that he was influenced by. One of them, obviously, as I've mentioned before, Nietzsche. And another one is Ragnar Redbeard. Now, he takes directly from Ragnar Redbeard the part about splitting the rotting skull of the Messiah, etc., etc. Now, Ragnar Redbeard was obviously a pseudonym for somebody who they don't know for who exactly, but he was, I can't help but picture him as a fucking Viking. Like, I just, yeah. So, Ragnar Redbeard. Battle axe or no. If he actually had a red beard or no. He goes on, he talks about how to follow the philosophy of a bunch of weak-willed prophets and a weeping Messiah is pure madness, and how it'll just drive you crazy eventually, and how might is right. And another person who very obviously influenced almost every occultist in the 20th century, and who still lingers large in the public opinion, even though he's been dead for the better part of a century, is Aleister Crowley, the Beast of Revelation, as he was called, also gone by the name of Baphomet. Alright, well, Crowley, as he explains in his writings, he says point blank, there is no God but man. He expounds on this. He continues on, man has the right to live by his own law, to live in the way that he wills to do, to work as he will, to play as he will, to rest as he will, to die when and how he will. Man has the right to eat what he will, to drink what he will, to dwell where he will, to move as he will on the face of the earth. Man has the right to think what he will, to speak what he will, to write what he will, to draw, paint, carve, etch, mold, build as he will, to dress as he will. Man has the right to love as he will. Take your fill and will of love as ye will, then where and with whom ye will. Man has the right to kill those who would thwart these rights. Of course, Crowley was very influential on LaVey, if LaVey would really admit it or not. But LaVey thought that Crowley was a bit too drug-addled and even too much of a sex fiend for his own preferences. And Crowley was obviously, he was a bit out there. I mean, personally, when I read his work, for the most part, I look at it, I think that he tries a little too hard to be a mystic. And he could definitely benefit from a bit of a LaVey's pragmatism. And he could have been a lot more succinct, a lot more laconic in a lot of things that he said, rather than trying to come off as the great wizard. But anyways, there you have it. I mean, that's about as clear as you're ever going to get Crowley to be. Because he continues on with things like every man and woman is a star, and while this is an okay metaphor, at the same time, you just have to imagine that he was probably extremely high when he wrote this. Now, LaVey, of course, had no time for bullshit. And it was the 60s, so everyone was already drug-addled, so he didn't want to fucking appeal to that. He had to just be completely point blank. So in the book of Lucifer in the Satanic Bible, the first two essays that you really run into that are of impact are Wanted, God, Dead or Alive, in which he says, and this is more or less just a condensed quote, the Satanist simply accepts the definition which suits him best. Man has always created his gods, rather than his gods creating him. To the Satanist, God, and that's in quotation marks, is seen as the balancing force in nature, and not as being concerned with suffering. Now, what this is telling you is that God is a human concept. He's something that we invented to explain rainbows and earthquakes and why women have their period every month. Well, sorry, that last one's always just a bad. Anyways, man created God. That's how it went, and it never worked another way. And he expounds on this. He continues. He goes on, and he comes to the summary idea of, I am my own God. You are the primary driving force in your universe. You are what makes things work. And he continues on this even more in the God you say may be yourself. He just continues going. Just God is more or less just a psychological manifestation of what you need and think you should do. You can just take care of business. You can fucking do whatever you want, and you're responsible for no one but yourself. And you are believing in yourself above anything else in the universe. I agree with this, to some of this, to some extent. I look at it, though, and I have to think that he does forget, at least partially, the warnings of Nietzsche that your society will hold you accountable for things that you do, and that they will punish you if you fuck up. So yes, while I feel the urge to go and shoot someone in the face every time they piss me off, I don't do it because, quite frankly, I'm not a fan of my own life ending. Every time someone cuts me off in traffic, I may feel the urge to hop out and go Robert De Niro on them with a baseball bat, like in The Untouchables, but I can't do that as much as I would love to. Oh. And so a life without God is something that every Satanist can live. You don't need him. He's a fucking figment of your imagination. Of course, you have to think about this for a second. You might feel a bit appalled. You might, if you're not a Satanist or you're not an atheist or you are somewhere on the border, you might feel a bit of religious terror there. You might feel a little panicky in your chest because you've been programmed, you've been conditioned throughout your entire life. But once you accept the fact that there is no God, there's no God except for you. You are the driving force in the universe. You are all that matters in your own existence. You are the greatest agent of change you could ever have. And you can sit around and pray all day for change, or you can go and make it happen yourself. That's like, for instance, you think about the Christian missionaries who have been massacred over the years, so many of them. Now, if you're going to somewhere like Somalia, and you only have room in your suitcase for one or the other, a Bible or a gun, which one are you taking? Of course, many of these people who go on these missions would say, oh, it's a Bible, God is the best protection we could ever have. But a true pragmatist, especially a Satanist, would say, fuck, I'm taking the gun, I hope it's a 45, I want to put them down with one round. It's common sense. You can't just put your faith in something that you can't verify exists or not. Personally, I don't think that there is such a thing. I don't think there's some invisible wizard that monitors our movements and tracks everything we do. I mean, he would be very busy anyways. He probably couldn't be paying attention to me. I mean, what would make me so important? Once again, as Crowley said, if there was a God, he would be looking at us like bacteria that just reproduce, spread, and destroy until eventually he feels the need to sanitize us. So you look at this, you think about this, just let all these thoughts run through your head for a bit, and because I'm going to follow this up with something a little bigger, something I've offended people with saying before, but it's completely true. You can live without God. You can. You don't need him. Millions and millions of atheists demonstrate that every year. Satanists are something different entirely. We are a different breed. We are the elite. We are the top of the social strata. And we are definitely not Wiccans. Wiccans are, I consider Wiccans to be more like the peasantry. They are a religion of the people, and they just want to find herbs and cure everyone of syphilis. Satanists are the aristocrats. We are plotting, we are scheming, and we want what you have for us. So, you can live without God, but you can't live without Satan. Think about that. Okay, I don't mean this completely literally. Satan, not as a entity, as a metaphysical presence that manifests himself beneath your fucking bed and whispers to you at night and tells you to go slaughter puppies. I mean Satan as that little spark inside of you that follows the Luciferian example, who says it would be better to rule in hell than serve in heaven. He's that little spark inside of you, that little that little thing that claws inside the back of your brain, that bestial voice that just screams, fuck you. That's all that you can feel. That's all that you can fucking, you feel your guts twisting whenever you were wronged. And you know, you feel your eye twitching. You know that your hand is clenched in a fist. And you want nothing more than to punch that motherfucker right in the face. That is Satan. He is inside of you. That spirit, that rebellious, don't give a damn, I'll do what the fuck I want spirit. That is Satan right there. That is Lucifer. That is the only true heroic figure in the Bible. You read the Bible and you go, everyone else is God's little bitch. They do what they're told. They accept blindly. They're a bunch of fucking fanatics for the most part. Like the one guy, I can't even remember his fucking name. It was in Judges. The one guy who went out to go fight the Ammonites, and he promised he promised the Hebrew God. He goes, God, if you will give me victory over these people, then I will sacrifice you the first thing that comes out my house and greets me. Okay, he goes out. He's extremely successful. He's victorious. He pretty much butchers these people. He comes home. The first thing to come out of his house and run up and greet him dancing happily is his daughter, his only child. Now, this one doesn't have a happy ending like Abraham. No, he lets the girl wander off into the mountains for 2 months to hang out with her friends and celebrate what she can. She comes back. He kills her. She as the book says, she dies a virgin. He kills his only daughter, and there you go. You have it. People never cite this story. They don't think about it. This is probably one you never hear about in church. Because they don't want you to think about it. Now, anybody with a spine would have been like, fuck this. This is obviously an imaginary fucking fictional character that I promised something to here. I mean, there's less to do with me winning these battles with some presence controlling, manipulating things outside my actions, and more to do with the plan that I utilized, or the battlefield I chose, or the mistakes that the enemy made. I mean, how often have battles been won by a comet striking the enemy general? That could be called a miracle. That would be, holy shit, wow, okay, maybe that is divine intervention. Or maybe if the earth just cracked and the motherfuckers fell into it. Oh, they're with the whole army. Oh, wow, okay, I guess I believe now. But no, it doesn't fucking work like that. It's always your own action and your own deeds that translate into the real world and allow you to institute change in your own life and in the life of others. The only God that you need is yourself. And quite frankly, that God within yourself, he's selfish. He is very much so about advancing you. You are a carnal creature. You are made of flesh and bone and blood. You shit, piss, cum, fuck, spit, everything, just like me, just like every other of the 7 billion motherfuckers on this planet, and every single one of us just wants to advance ourselves. So you best get in touch with your inner God, with your inner Satan, and you had better start looking to advance yourself, or someone will step on you. So you can live a life without God. You will be stronger for it. You will advance yourself. You will take yourself to places you have never dreamed of. And you will become something entirely wholly different. You will become something that people won't fuck with. You will, you'll do exactly as LaVey says, alright? In another one of his passages, he says, give blow for blow, scorn for scorn, doom for doom, with compound interest liberally, added thereunto, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, eye fourfold, 100-fold, make yourself a terror to your adversary, and when he goeth his way, he will possess much additional wisdom to ruminate over. Thus you shall make yourself respected in all walks of life. And your spirit, your immortal spirit, shall live, not in an intangible paradise, but in the brains and sinews of those who respect you have gained. All right. That doesn't require much. That's LaVey. Quick, simple prose, to the point. He might add a little bit of these and thous to it to sound a bit more King James Bible-ish, but very much to the point. You don't need some sort of intangible puppet master yanking your strings to make the world change. All you need is a plan. Some sort of structure of saying, I will do this, I can do this, I shall do this, and you just go out there and you fucking do it. That's how the world works, ladies and gentlemen. And until next time, this is Father Mullen. I want you to